CEO of the Workplace Gender Equality Agency. And it's a very exciting day because we have, for the second time, published employer gender pay gaps for 9,500 employers and corporate groups right across Australia. I've just done a live cross with 7 News, and they've been very good to allow me to do this LinkedIn Live from their studio, hence the lights in the background. And it's that sort of day. Been doing media across the day, and hopefully you've also seen it in the newspapers across the board. There's been very comprehensive coverage of a whole range of issues in relation to it. But it is an important next stage of transparency for employer gender pay gaps, and to be a catalyst for employers analysing their data, taking action, and putting in place plans to make sure that the workplace experience is equal for both men and women. So let me give you just a quick summary of some of the things that we've released today, and then I'm very happy to take questions. So please put your questions into the chat. So 9,500 companies and corporate group results have been released, covering 5.3 million employees across Australia. And for the first time, you can look through corporate structures to also see the gender pay gaps for the individual employers within them. We've added average gender pay gaps as well as the median gender pay gaps that we also published last year. And we've also added in average total remuneration by quartile, in addition to the composition quartiles. And this is really important because the gender pay gap, as you know, is not the same as equal pay for equal work. It is the result of gendered differences in both pay and composition in a workplace. And that's why we've published both of these results by quartile. And a couple of high-level results. So all employers that we've published, the midpoint, so the point where 50% of employers are higher and lower, is 12.1%. And we know that varies for different industries, but across all of those companies, 12.1% is the midpoint of employer gender pay gaps. And about 72% of employers have a total remuneration gender pay gap of greater than 5%. So that's in favour of men. About 6.5% have a total remuneration gender pay gap in favour of women, leaving about 21% who are in that target range of plus or minus 5%. And when we look at both the average and the median, it's actually 15% of employers are in that target range for both of those measures for their total remuneration. So that's very positive. That's about 1,100 employers who are sitting within the target range, but that leaves many thousands with more work to be done. So pop in your questions. Let me know if there's things that you specifically would like to know. All of this information is published on our Data Explorer. And so I encourage you to go to the WGEA website, www.wgea.gov.au, to the Data Explorer. And you're also able to see a lot more information in addition to employer gender pay gaps and those composition and pay quartiles. You're also able to see information about their other reporting to WGEA to get a context of what's happening in that employer. And what we're seeing from across the board is that these changes, the publishing of last year and now where we are today, is making a difference. More employers are doing a gender pay gap analysis, which is great because they've got to have the data to understand what needs to change. More employers are consulting with employees, and these two things are so fundamental to the first steps to putting an action plan in place and making sure that change is evidence-based and informed so that it can have positive and tangible results. And we're also seeing input from executives and from board directors because now WGEA reports are also required to be provided to them. That means that they're enhancing their literacy. They want to understand what the gender pay gap is and what's driving it within their companies, and the conversations at board level have increased substantially as well. So very positive results from the first round of publishing of gender pay gaps. And now, of course, we need to see the translation of that in the reporting to WGEA that's just about to come about the actions that have been taken over the last 12 months, so that we can see the progress that is being made with this transparency that comes from publishing employer gender pay gaps and the accountability to the business leaders to drive the change. So Still looking if there's any questions from anyone. Appreciate Tamara's comments that there is much more work to be done, but a step-by-step approach and collective approach is important. That's absolutely right. We also know, of course, that some of these issues are specific to industries, but even within every industry, some employers have a gender pay gap in that target range of plus or minus 5%, and some are much, much higher. So even though many of these gender pay gaps are have a context of an industry and environment and culture that can be driving gender pay gaps. We also know, though, that individual employers with them can affect change. So you need to understand your industry context, but also make sure that you're tailoring it to your specific environment to make the changes that need to be done. So great to catch up with everyone. Thanks for coming along today. No more questions from people in the chat. There's a lot of information on the WGEA website. Please go. This gender equality makes such a difference for women and men in the workplace so that they can have a positive experience in terms of their work. They can participate, they can earn, they can contribute the best to their skills and capabilities. That's certainly what we're seeking to achieve through this work. And please go to the WGEA website for more information and support if you're an executive or an employer who is looking to make positive change. Thanks, everyone.